Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hot Pole podcast. It's been a couple of weeks. Hope you're doing well. I'm Adam Steele from Hot Pole Studios, and here is my co-host, Mr. Liam Wright. He is on the phone. Typical timing. Hope you're all doing well. Yes, he's giving me the one down. That's fine. So this is your weekly podcast, or usually weekly podcast, for music tech and computery nerd stuff and guitar-y stuff. And we were away last week because I had been at the British Boutique Guitar Festival and was absolutely exhausted. And I am now back. And so, yes, it's been a heck of a couple of weeks. I've been incredibly busy, and I hope you all have been as well, or at least have been having a good time. I have been incredibly... Yes, you see the little Rush thing in the corner? That is my bag that I carry around with me everywhere. I'm a massive Rush fan. And something I've been preparing with Warren Hewitt from Produce Like a Pro is we're doing one of the Songs That Change music videos on the Produce Like a Pro channel about Tom Sawyer by Rush. And so getting that together has been tricky because it's a difficult song to play and there's a lot going on, a lot to explain. Hopefully we'll have the guitars for that finished by Saturday and then have everything ready and it'll be out very, very soon. But yes, that has been keeping me out of trouble, along with the British Boutique Guitar Festival, where Mike from CGS was hosting and Lewis from LT Custom Guitars was co-hosting. And so those are fantastic. And Henning from HP42 was theirs. First time I think that he's been in England, which was entertaining. There was Lee Fuge as well, and Tom from Elevated Jam Tracks, which I think is now the biggest jam track channel in the world. He was upstairs making jam tracks in Mike's house, which was really cool. So yes, I hope you're all doing well. Let us know in the comments what you've been up to, and we'll talk to you all in chat.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. These things happen.
Yeah, I've got we have a rat problem
Yes.
that we need to deal with. So someone came around today to sort it.
Right.
So that was my dad who's going to come down, and we've identified where it got in. So
Right.
it's not a big problem. It's just a little problem due to it being really wet outside, and it's been a lovely big old warm building.
Yeah. It's the kind of thing. I'm surprised we've not had problems before, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, he said like he didn't go around and go, oh well, that's your problem. Like he's like, there's no food sources. He was like that's why they're screening the walls and stuff. It's just that or the problem it might be is there might be a hole in one of the drains and they've come up through the sewers, which is like literally nothing to do with us. It's just unlucky. So we'll find out, but it should be dealt with. But yeah, that was just to deal with that.
Things happen in day-to-day life like this, don't they? Like my freezer doesn't freeze on the bottom half of it anymore as of the last couple of days. There's things that are so mundane but all need fixing and ugh. But yes, as I was saying, the British Boutique Guitar Festival I just got back from. There was no podcast last week because I was absolutely shattered. And you were still not very well after you caught the thing.
I caught the thing. I did. Even I don't go out and I still caught the thing. So be careful, everyone.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling particularly good earlier today. I'm quite sniffly, and I've done a test, and I am okay for now. So it's just a regular sniffle, but yes, I was at the British Boutique Guitar Festival. Look at this.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Tinterwebs.
How gorgeous is that? This is Lewis from LT Custom Guitars making this, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I am now looking after it, so to speak. So I don't own it, but he said, yeah, take it, use it, make videos with it. And so I mean, it was a funny story that we were talking about how he builds and his kind of stuff that he does. He had made this. It's got a really wide neck and a really thin neck. Wide this way and thin at the back. And he was saying they thought that would appeal to kind of metal players, and a lot of them actually have gone back the other way to the kind of Music Man-y, like rounder neck. So as much as it was a great demo of what he was capable of when he made it way back when, he doesn't actually make guitars that are like this so much anymore. And so I played it and I was like, I love this. Because being a bass player, I like the strings to be further apart because I'm so
Yeah.
used to them being further apart. It's less
Mhm.
less time that I need to adapt.
Mhm.
And so yeah, we worked it out, and so this is now in my custody. The bridge pickup is being replaced tomorrow or Saturday, depending on when I can film, with a pickup from Alchemy Pickups, who have made quite possibly the most aggressive and most metal Telecaster pickup possibly ever that isn't a humbucker.
All right.
So yeah, that arrived yesterday. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting video. Can we make a Telecaster sound metal without it becoming a humbucker? So
Have you
we'll
got
see.
permission to change the pickups?
It was actually Lewis's idea, yeah. Because that's another thing we were talking about on the day, is that I really love the guitar. Not a fan of the bridge pickup, but everything else. So he said, "Oh, the guy from Alchemy Pickups is my guy. Talk to him, work it out." So I did.
Cool.
And so yes, that is happening, and of course, there's going to be a video about that because it's a thing that we're doing, and that's what happens on this channel. We do a thing, and a video happens. And so yes, there you go.
I mean, a video happened last night. I'll tell you that.
It certainly did. So for anyone who wasn't there, we.
What do you mean? Anyone who wasn't there? Everyone was there.
It certainly feels like it, yeah. Yesterday morning, I found out from Mike at Let's Talk About Reaper, that channel, about a set of plugins by a developer called Toucan Studios, and they look really cool. They look like the classic compressors and reverbs and all that kind of stuff. And it's free, and it's available in any build of Reaper on any operating system. And I thought, I've got to make a video about this. And so, yeah, at last count in 24 hours, I think we've had 3,000 something views on it.
I mean, that's cool.
That's
but
decent.
The thing that was the coolest was like 170 concurrent viewers. I mean, that's a decent number of people. Like, that's a big room.
Yeah, that's true. That's decent. We had quite a lot of people watching, asking questions. It was really kind of lively and vibrant. So, yeah, that was very cool. And I was talking to Chris Taylor, who may be in the chat. If not, he'll probably be in later, who's one of our friends and has been a co-host on the podcast. And an idea that he came up with was, well, I came up with a bit of it, he came up with a bit of it, is that...
Collaboration.
Yes, I'm going to make a track, a song, with all the stems, and we're going to supply those stems to people. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a mix-along stream using those Toucan plugins and everything else that's built into Reaper and nothing else. Basically, if it'll work in Reaper and it's free and it's available on any platform, we'll use it. And so we're going to do an all-day from the basics mix-along stream.
Ooh,
so yeah,
cool.
Exactly, yeah. So we're going to plan that date to be confirmed. But we're going to do a thing where we, just do things, field people's questions, and talk about the Ultimate Reaper course, and do all that kind of good stuff, which, by the way, if you've not checked out the Ultimate Reaper course, that is available from Pro Mix Academy right now. So, yes, that is something that is going to be, that is the upshot of yesterday's really successful stream, which I'm very happy about.
Oh, very well.
Yes, and I was saying while you were on the phone there, that little Rush bag in the corner, I'm a big Rush fan, and hopefully next week there will be a big video all about Rush on the Produce Like a Pro channel featuring me.
Ooh.
Yes, which I'm a massive Rush fan if you didn't already know. And so the idea was, the whole video was my baby, it was my idea, and I kind of ran with it, and the script is great. Still need to put the guitars together for the cover, but there's going to be an extended breakdown of all the bass and drum parts on our channel, and there's going to be the full cover of the song with me, Jamie Humphreys, and Cameron. What's Cameron's last name? My brain is going. Cameron Fleury. The three of us doing Tom Sawyer on our channel as well. So yeah, there's lots happening right now.
Very cool.
Yes, just part of the video about the Cranbourne EC2, which I've been meaning to do for far too long, so apologies to the guys at Cranbourne for that taking a while, but it's hard to do a video on a preamp because it's like, how does it sound? Sounds good. But what I wanted to do was demonstrate it on different songs, different settings, different types, and that took a while to do. And that's out now, and that's really impressive. On Monday, the Victory Super Jack video will be going out. That is now already, as far as I remember, with the patrons on Patreon. If it's not, it will be by the end of this podcast. And
Nice.
yes, so let's have a look at that. And also all the stuff from the British Boutique Guitar Festival. Yeah, I've not posted that yet, so I will post that by the end of the podcast. And yeah, all the stuff from the British Boutique Guitar Festival will be delivered to the patrons, and that's going to go out a video a week for about 1,000,000 years, because we filmed a lot in 3 days. Oh boy, yes we did. And we met a lot of lovely people and saw some very interesting designs, concepts, guitars. So yes, thanks everyone. We even went into the middle of London to try and confront these guys at 6060 Sounds, which is on Denmark.
Yeah, you tell me about that.
Yeah, and they were closed, and apparently they're closed on Mondays, except the fact that the lights were on, someone was in, and I saw them let somebody else in. Closed, yes, okay. But yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. And in those couple of weeks, there's been a lot of news. So let's talk about the news.
The news.
Da-da-da-da-da. Right at the top, there is an advertisement for the LCT 1040 from Lewitt, which I also did a video on since you saw me last. And my word, that is an incredible microphone. And Lewitt,
Very impressive case.
Yeah, very impressive everything. It's in my front hall right now, and that's going to be traveling with me tomorrow. My goodness, is it? Yeah, it sounds great. But it weighs as much as a boat anchor. And that's not even the news article, but just mentioning it quickly while it's on the screen there. Lewitt are obviously making a big push with this, because I've seen it on Epos Vox channel, Podcastage. It's on the cover of Sound on Sound magazine that just launched yesterday. Yeah, they're really making a statement with this thing. So yeah, very happy to be a part of the product launch, because it sounds good. Anyway, on to our headline topic. So, Devi Ever, we'll have to give you some backstory here, but it's to rejoin the pedal world in 2022. Devi Ever was the name of a pedal builder, an indie pedal builder. I'll get to that in a second. Who has a reputation in the pedal building world. Al says, isn't that mic like $3,500? Yes, it is. It's a flagship. It's like the one that people with lots of money buy. Anyway, back to the Devi Ever story. So going back a little bit, apparently Devi Ever is now referred to as Izzy Mouse. Okay, sure. And so what happened in a nutshell is that Devi Ever at the time was a pedal builder who was very controversial and would have lots of arguments and spats with a lot of other pedal builders. Maybe to just make headlines. I'm not going to comment on the why, I guess. But what happened that really stuck in my mind is that the Devi Ever and Co., or maybe it was just them, came up with an idea for a console pedal, which kind of had these little kind of chips that you could stick in. Really cool idea. Did a Kickstarter, raised $40,000, haven't made it. Basically canned the idea, and didn't do it, and then, as far as I remember, at some point selling off the brand. Basically just ducked out and said, nah thanks, which is not great, and then disappeared from the scene. From what I heard at the time, the idea behind some of the pedals that they were making was really cool. Pedal builders that I know have looked inside them and said the actual builds are a complete mess. Better or worse, that doesn't actually make much of a difference, in my opinion. If it sounds good, it is good. Some of the builders that I know, like I'm a fan of Stuart from Tate Effects, as an example. There are 3 of his pedals there, and I've got the 4th main one he makes up there. You open them up and they look pristine. The design is perfect. There's no cables trailing everywhere. The Devi Ever stuff, there were wires tangling all around. where it looked like the insides of my studio after a 3-day session.
Hmm.
You know, but packed inside a pedal with the back screwed on.
Hmm.
And again, on its own, that's fine. That's just how they were made, I guess. And who knows that potentially, if the budget allowed, maybe there would have been some sort of builder that kind of they got refined as they went. But this all happened, and so the brand was sold to Dwarfcraft. That's right. And so that was in a 2013 update of this project. So this is almost 10 years ago. But
Oh wow.
yes, Devi Ever has returned as Izzy Mouse. Apparently, is it is a part of me trying to make ends meet financially, is a quote. But I'm not doing it as a career path. I'm doing it for personal reasons. You can't do it for personal reasons and to make ends meet financially. It's one or the other, or
Bit odd.
both. Yeah, it can be both, I guess, but you have to be honest about it anyway. But yes, the thing is that a lot of people are seriously aggrieved by the Devi Ever thing, and because a lot of money or pedals is owed to people who put money in and never saw a thing, which it happens far too often with things like Kickstarter.
Well, I thought there were loads of like safeguards against that now that they don't get the money unless certain things happen.
Maybe that's been put in place since, I don't know.
Oh yeah, because you said this was a long time ago,
Yeah,
so
it was
yeah,
2013, so it will have been kind of failed projects like this that have spurred on Kickstarter to change their
yeah.
methods. Because I remember clearly that this was not the only example of this kind of thing
Oh yeah,
happening.
I mean, we put money towards things that never came through. Even like stupid stuff. Like I remember backing something for a T-shirt. It was some sort of. I think it was one of those, those giant robots,
Oh yeah,
like that people were making, trying to do like a real life Pacific Rim,
oh
and
yeah,
yeah, backed one of those for just a T-shirt, and that
mm.
never came. It's like, I mean, come on, you can make a T-shirt.
Yeah. This is where a lot of lessons were learned by a lot of people that, like, if you promise deliverables like that, make them,
Mm.
and also make sure that you're making money on those deliverables, so that then funds your projects and you don't end up with nothing to make your project with. I think a lot of people got carried away with that kind of thing. But yeah, just completely avoiding it. And then apparently the video where the return was announced has already been pulled from YouTube. And yeah, almost immediately pulled. And so yeah, the comments are not kind. But yeah, apparently Izzy has already put up another video talking about the reaction backlash, if you will, and seems angry with the coverage rather than understanding. But yeah, there are less than kind anecdotes for how they worked, and let's leave them for another time.
Mm-hmm.
Al says, "Are you broadcasting on Twitch?" Not today, Al. For now, I'm sticking with an experimental thing with YouTube only broadcast, but hopefully we're back on Twitch for the next one. But since our main viewership is on YouTube, it'll be fine. So moving on, here's an interesting one that Henning kind of didn't tell me about beforehand, but kind of hinted at. Line 6 have just released a series of amps called the Catalyst. Now, why is this important? Because Boss have an amp called the Katana, and now Line 6 have the Catalyst, which is a little too close. The Katana, which has been out for a while, gives you a choice of 6 amps. The Catalyst gives you a choice of 6 amps. There are a range of combos. They're basically copies of each other.
Right.
That's the general idea anyway. And reports have come in that if you put the two side by side sound-wise, the Katana sounds better. which is objective in his opinion, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Subjective, sorry, not objective. Subjective in opinion. And yeah, they're more expensive as well. So big oof that Line 6, who had massive success with the Spider series, would now try and corner this market when they already had their own market. Just seems a bit weird. It's like, why? Why would you do that?
Greed?
Hmm?
Greed?
Yes, I suppose so. Corporate, yeah. I mean, Line 6 make great products. They make some not so great products, but that's usually in the super cheap price ranges. A lot of companies do that. Some of the really high end Spider stuff is actually all right. The Helix stuff is really good. I've got Helix in the studio right now. It's the HX Stomp, but it's part of the Helix range, and I could easily take that on tour in place of a full rig, and it sounds great. But the fact that these come in at a higher cost than the competition, weird. But yeah, there you go. That's the thing. Henning did a massive hour-long video on it. Oh, Danny says your mic is really loud, so I'm going to turn that down. There we go. Not a problem. Turn it down by a few dB on this side. I'm also probably a little less louder than I have been because I've taken the auto settings on my mic down from far mode to near mode. I was hearing the breathing far too much because of the compression. It was getting a little weird. I don't actually hear my own voice monitored live when I'm doing this because of the way I have it routed. So I watch them back later and I go, I mean, I can see the meters, so I know it's working okay. But I mean, what would I change about a microphone whilst we're live? Anyway. So moving on, the PRS Silver Sky, totally not a Stratocaster. Silver Sky, honest. I just wanted to mention this because it's for the Super Bowl.
Superb Owl.
Superb Owl. And it's really, really shiny, and that's the thing. So it's really shiny, and it's with Dr. Dre's mixing desk thing where he pretends to be a DJ and do stuff in the halftime Superb Owl broadcast. Yeah, really pretty, shiny PRS Silver Sky. Yeah, so Snoop Dogg and Eminem and all the people from early 2000s, the Dre camp, I guess, all did the halftime thing. And from what I saw, it looked okay. Halftime.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Halftime show's always a little bit cheesy, I think, because whoever the artist is, it's either a kind of slightly rough live performance because they're winging it in the middle of a field, or it's dubbed, and so why did he turn up? But yeah, it kind of worked, I think. And yeah, very, very shiny guitar was kind of the upshot of this news article. No, you can't buy one. But you could buy one and spray it shiny. That's essentially what they did. So yeah, there you go. You can do it. So
yeah,
yeah,
not super special.
No. Moving on. People who are fans of the modular synth type thing, Cardinal is an open source VCV rack as a free VST plugin, and that's the reason I mention it. Is it's free and it's the weird and wacky and wonderful synth stuff that a lot of people love that makes my eyes hurt.
That looks complicated.
Yes, modular stuff is seriously complicated, but for the amazing price of free, if you really, really know your synth stuff or you want to dive into synth stuff, then this is probably a perfect starting point that you can just get this installed, go, what does this do? What does that do? Oh God, no. Let's turn that off. Repeat until you get sounds you like.
Those Toucan plugins, do they only work in Reaper then?
Yes, they are. Well, technically, no, actually, but I'll come back to that in a second. They are made in JS, which is Reaper's internal programming language. They're not even compiled; they run on the fly. And I've looked in the code of some of them, and there's lots and lots of it. But there is a way for VST because you can get the replugs, which are a free set of plugins for any VST host like Cubase, and run JS plugins in that. So you could actually load that into something like Cubase and then load them that way.
Right.
Bit more complicated, but you can do it. And also still for free.
And by JS, it's not JavaScript. They've called
No.
it JS.
Yeah. I think it
That's
stands for
dumb.
Jesus-Sonic, I believe. Mm.
Given that JavaScript is probably the most popular language in the world, that seems a bit of an oversight. But okay.
Yeah. I don't think they did that on purpose. But too late now, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way that Reaper's plugins work is it's just a big field of code, and then that does its thing. And so that means it works on Windows, Mac, Linux, anything that Reaper will run on, it will run internally. No need for it to be pre-compiled for a particular platform.
Mm-hmm.
Really useful. Because a lot of people in the chat and in the comments on that video yesterday were saying, will this work on my platform? And yes. Although there was at least one person it was really weird saying, I guess this only works on OS X and not Windows. And I was like, I did this on a Windows computer. The stream was on Windows. I'm demoing it in front of your eyes.
Shoes.
Yeah, weird. But I don't know. Some people just like to make assumptions, I guess. But there you go. So yeah. Never. But yeah, VCV Rec 2 Pro looks really cool. Lots and lots going on. Free. So there's a link on gearnews.com there. In fact, I'll just drop this in the chat if I can find the chat. There's the chat. There we go. And so there you go. Now here's something I really, really, really want. The Darkglass Exponent E500. I've been about Darkglass stuff for the last several years. Not because they make bad stuff, but because they made the B7K pedal, and for a time every bass player used it in modern stuff, and it all started to sound the same. And that was kind of it. And then you could get the amps which had that sound in them, and that was great, but it did just that thing. Now the Exponent has come out, and this thing really caught my attention because this has lots and lots of stuff built in, and you can control it all with an app using Bluetooth, and then you can save presets on it, and then you can use a foot switch to choose the presets. So if you're gigging, you don't need all the controls, honestly, when you're gigging. You just want to switch. So it's got things in it like reverb, chorus, the different distortions and preamps, envelope filters, flanger, compressor, EQ, noise gate, blah, blah, blah. And Darkglass cab sims as well for the outputs. So it's an all-in-one bass tone system, which makes a lot of sense because the people who own Darkglass also own Neural DSP, who make the Quad Cortex, which is arguably the best modeling piece of hardware you can buy right now. And that's something that the Kemper and Axe FX guys will try and fight you on, but it's up there, if not at the top. Sorry, guys. And so the fact that you can now do this, that's a MIDI port in the back and USB, so you can update it and stuff. There's headphone outs, there's XLR, there's a send and return slot there. And so, yeah, you can change everything, plug it into an actual bass cab for a 500 watt output, which is a lot, honestly, let me tell you. If you need more than 500 watts of output on a bass amp on a stage, either you're playing arenas or you're kind of doing it wrong. That's my thoughts on that anyway, because if you need more power than that, you're probably in a doom band and you're probably using valve amps, because at that point that's a whole aesthetic in itself. But yeah, it's not cheap. It's €999, so probably $1,000 ish, £1,000 ish for one of these. But this covers everything, and as far as I know, you can use it without the speaker. So you can use it at home when you're recording. You can use it wherever, like practice sessions, using the XLR output. As soon as you plug it into a cab, lots and lots of noise. I know that we can use the previous Darkglass heads without being connected to a speaker cab, because that's how me and John Brown recorded all the bass sounds for the new Monuments album with a Darkglass Microtubes 900, amongst other things. And so that combined with other like DIs and Neve compressors and things made for that album tone, which sounds huge. But yes, if these ever get cheaper, or if, let's be honest, if someone puts me in contact with Darkglass, then video incoming on that, because that would be wicked. I want one because it can do all the different things and not just that typical B7K sound. That's why I like the idea, because it's got the opportunity to be different at the click of a button. So
yeah, that makes sense.
yes, there you go. Now, this I thought was interesting. The Sony Walkman has made a return, except that I guess this is basically just an Android phone with no phone bit. That was the last generation of Walkmans before they discontinued them, and probably why it got discontinued. But yeah, let's have a look at these. So the more costly version has been designed using copper and gold parts for optimal audio fidelity. That's marketing stuff right there, because all these circuitry is done with copper and gold parts. Otherwise, they don't really work, and the gold layering is so that things don't rust and oxidize. Anywho, the larger one's 256 gig, smaller one's 128. They've got micro SD card support. The blah blah blah, built from the same oxygen-free copper as used in Sony's high-grade audio cables. So's everything else. The copper has been finished with a 99.99% pure gold coating. So is everything else. Sony, what you do? Especially, whoa, the prices are stupid. So the small one is €1,400 and the large one's €3,700.
What?
That's stupid. What the heck can it do? So it can do really high 384 kilohertz 32-bit PCM audio, which nobody in the right mind uses.
Yeah.
DSD, DSE, MQA format used by Tidal. Yeah, but if you're using Tidal, you're not doing it on a Walkman. You're streaming because you're streaming. I mean, it's Android 11, so it's an Android phone with really, really expensive components. Sorry, Sony, this is a product that you've made that's advertised to no one.
It's advertised to people that still have a CD collection that want to rip it to a device that they feel is better than a phone.
Fair, but those products have existed for years now and at not nearly this kind of price.
Yeah, but did it have the Walkman brand on it, which is nostalgic to people that are now entering that sort of part of their life where they've got lots of disposable cash. That's my take.
Well, this is where I think I hope that Techmoan, the YouTube channel Techmoan, gets one of these so that he can absolutely destroy it. Because he's got to be in his late 50s by now. He's got all sorts of audiophile gear. And if it's stupid and pointless and not worth the money, he will tell you. And he's got many, 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 many subscribers. And people follow him kind of religiously, which is really interesting because, I mean, he's from near us. He's from St. Helens. He's really down to earth. A guy called Matt from Techmoan, and 1.2 million subscribers. There we go. He did a review of the new Sony Link Buds, which came out 2 days ago. They seemed interesting, but actually might justify their slightly high price. I don't know if you saw the Link Buds. They were kind of like in-ear headphones, but with a hole in the middle, so they're like open back in-ears.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well that's the concept. So it's like, open back in-ears. What? But that's an interesting concept. Even if it's not perfect, that's something that pushes the ideas forward. That's awesome. I can see people buying that because it's actually genuinely different. I mean, it's got the Sony brand as well, which definitely helps. But yeah, Sony stopped making Android-based players because demand dropped because they were just Android-based players. But Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if anyone actually pays €3,699 for one of the top end ones.
Mm.
Indeed. So moving on
Mm.
from far too much money to free and cheap. So Waves have made 2 new plugins that were definitely interesting. I've not got round to trying them yet, but I will. One's called Cosmos, which is an AI-powered, whatever that means, sample finder, and the Crate CR8. I think that's pronounced Crate. I'm sure it should be Create, but it's CR8, so it's Crate. Creative sampler, which is $10, and so that in itself is interesting. That it's like it's $10. It might be worth a punt. Why not? But samplers have been around since digital DAW workstations kind of started. 20 plus years, because the idea behind a basic sampler is you put a sample in it, you press a MIDI key and it does the thing, and you can play with it, slow it down, make it faster, slower, change the tuning, etc., etc. It looks like Waves have come up with some interesting new ways of making that into something that could actually make interesting sounds, like LFO sequencers, filters, envelopes. So you can map things like keyboards aftertouch, velocity. They've actually taken the time and thought on this one, I think, to make it interesting to people who are like, yeah, I've already got a sampler, what new? And so the kind of people who would use a sampler, this might actually be interesting to. And there's something like 2,500 free samples on the sampler you can already get, and it can... I don't know how AI comes into this, but you can search. Apparently, you can link in Splice, Loop Masters, and other things like that. Makes it interesting that you can search and drop these into Create and start messing around with stuff. That makes for an interesting proposition. Now, another one from Line 6, but this is good. So the new firmware just dropped for the Helix range. Apparently, they called it 3.15 because 3.2 isn't quite ready yet. That was the tagline. So at least they got a sense of humor. There's a whole new amp in there called the Ventux or Ventu, whatever it is, which they've invented. I like it when they invent new stuff. But yeah, the things that really appeal to me is they've added the Ampeg Opto compressor, which is great for bass. Ampeg Liquefier, which is a really thick chorus, also great for bass. Heliosphere, ADD, so the ADT, sorry. So there's some really nice, interesting features in there that I had been kind of missing from the Helix, and there they are. And they've added an absolute ton of the old Pod HD stuff there. So there's the stuff that was missing, like ring mods, the bubble echo, things like that were cool and were strangely missing on the new Helix stuff. So they've just gone, you know what, we've got these. Yeah, there you go. And thrown them in. You don't have to use them, but they make the lists longer, so you've got choices. I like choices. So yeah, that's good. And little tweaks like the input pad and the input and stuff like that can now be changed per patch, per preset. So you can have different patches that will choose their own inputs. So you can have, say, 2 guitars connected to the same Helix. And when you change presets, as you kind of take one off, put another one on, click a button, and it changes that all automatically. That could be really useful, and is now in there, that kind of thing. Yeah, so on that note, good work, Line 6. On the other note, what are you doing? So there you go. I try and be fair. Native Instruments have the new Contact with M1 and Windows 11 support, 2 bass amps. Why do you have bass amps in Contact? Maybe they're new effects, I guess. Lots of bug fixes. That's the main thing there. So I guess a lot of their bugs have been reported. Fixed. Yeah, and then fixed. So there you go. This one really caught my eye. Hornet Samp. It's all in capitals, so it's not Samp, it's Samp. This is a virtual master bus for Dolby Atmos. This caught my attention because I've been looking at working in Dolby Atmos just to see what it's all about. It's difficult, Atmos. The whole thing with Atmos is that instead of having a million channels, you have as many objects as you have tracks. So the idea is that, like, it works more like a game these days. So you would say, like, this sound comes from here. where the other way round with traditional mixing, you'll have a set number of speakers, and you'll just balance your sources in between those speakers.
Yeah, we spoke about this a while back, didn't we?
Yeah, so this is just a very quick refresher that instead of having, say, 8 speakers and then going, this thing has to come out of that goes here, and then later on that gets sent to the output device and it goes, you figure it out. Really clever, but really difficult to deal with in some ways. That there's no real way then to do kind of an overall broad brushstroke on everything. So here comes Hornet, and there's up to 160, I think it is, 128 audio tracks can be done in here. I can see 160 there, so it might even be more in future. I don't know. Where there's compressors, clippers, equalizers, and limiters for all of these, and they can all be done at the same time. So you can select them all, which means let's say you get feedback from the film studio on your Atmos mix that says, this is great, it's all 2 dB too quiet, can you turn it all up? Instead of now having to go through 128 tracks and turn them all up, you go select all up. Because that then, from what I gather, you put kind of like a small version of this plugin on each of your object channels. And then you've got a master one, and then the master one can control it all. Which is definitely kind of the future for me, that a lot of plugins should have that functionality where you can put kind of mini versions across all the tracks and then have a master view. Because that really will save so much time. But yeah, all these, apparently the order of these can be changed, so you can really dig into a lot of the settings on everything and do it all in one big go. Really, really useful. So
Indeed.
yeah. And it's €60 for this, which honestly, that is an absolute bargain for stuff that does everything in Dolby Atmos. Because that is just like, yeah, Atmos is another level, and you do have to kind of invest to get into the game. So if you can keep the amount that you have to invest down, hey, happy days.
Yeah, definitely.
Now it's time for Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner. So, first thing, the Behringer TD3MO has arrived. We talked about this a while back. There were pictures of the casing and the chipboard and stuff like that. This is now actually a thing. The Roland TD3 was a massive success in the late 80s, early 90s as a drum machine. And so now Behringer have made a really cool version where you can distort things internally and really screw with it. And because what a lot of people did with their real TD3s is they would modify them and circuit bend them so that you could have distortions going on and all kinds of weird and wonderful wacky sounds, which is where a lot of like acid house came from. All the kind of all the weird and wonderful zappy kind of bass sounds of early 90s dance was mostly these. And so Behringer have gone, well, all these mods are really cool, let's throw them all into our version.
Seems fair.
Yeah. So Roland have made not the exact TB, it might be TB3, the 303. Yeah, so the 303 bass machine, which this is copying, they've made something that isn't exactly that, but is a modern version that can kind of do that stuff. And a lot of people seem lukewarm on the response and just want nostalgia for the original thing. And so there you go. Behringer have done this, €200. So yeah, I don't think you can buy an original 303 anymore. So that is kind of fair. Although if Roland do start making original 303s again, that's when it gets difficult. That's the thing that happened with Arturia when Behringer started essentially copying their keyboard, which they currently sold.
Yeah.
So yeah, and last but not least in Behringer Corner, we talked about this biphase a while back, or at least what we thought might be a biphase. This has now been essentially confirmed as being out in the wild fairly soon.
Ooh.
So there you go. So yeah, 2 different phases, hence the name biphase. Different buttons. Who made the original Mutron? Mutron biphase, very 70s effect, and yeah, so that's an actual physical thing you can see. So yeah, even a box and everything. So yeah, it's real. It's real. So there you go. You can probably get one too. Oh, Mutron actually has one of their biphase 2 still in production.
All
So
right.
this could be a difficult one. This could be interesting.
Right.
We'll see how that goes. Anyway, that was Behringer Corner. Da-da-da-da-da. And that was the news.
The news.
So yes, any questions in chat? Because someone, Jimmy just said, is the chat open for random questions? It is now. So yeah, get that question in there, Jimmy. And anybody else who is in the chat, especially after yesterday's Reaper stream, if you've got any questions of any kind that are even vaguely relevant to guitar news, music tech, Reaper production, bass, because I like the bass, anything like that, now is a very good time to ask. So yes, I'm really looking forward to playing this little monster. The body is English ash, I believe, not swamp ash. You can't get swamp ash anymore. I've found out. You see a lot of classic guitars, and you'll see on the build list made out of swamp ash. I never thought that meant much. That was just kind of just ash, but with a funky name. And it turns out that the stuff you can get in America that was made in swamps is basically an endangered species these days, because all the guitar companies have just kind of dug it all up and just because from what I was reading, because it grows in a swamp, it grows in the woods really porous, so that makes it really light.
Right.
Whereas English ash, I think it was white ash, is significantly heavier. This is not a light guitar. Oh, sorry, not a light guitar by any stretch of the imagination. It's not super heavy, but it's noticeable, and I like it because it really resonates. Let's see if it's in tune. Nope. Yes, big. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the 21 kilo ohm impedance pickup in this, because apparently it's going to scream.
That
So,
sounds fun.
yes, indeed. If anyone has questions after the stream, by the way, as I'll just rightly said in the chat, jump on our Discord server, where we will carry on conversations, questions, all sorts of stuff all the time.
Into the wee hours.
Yes, indeed. Although most of the wee hours I am sleeping and then replying the morning. Oh, Poo Ninja, how much is the Hot Pole Proof of Cheese Club? So that's a story from British Boutique Guitar Festival. So this is a Henning story. We just thought Henning was a normal human being, and it turns out he's not. You've met Henning now, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Yes, and so yeah, he's not a normal human. His diet apparently consists largely of cheese, and not a lot else. He was telling us how one of his favorite days ever, he got one of the big 500-gram blocks of Gouda cheese, put it in a pan, melted it, and ate it, and that was his meal. It's like,
Nice.
mate, you are weird. And so
That's not weird. That's a man that knows what he's doing.
I told him you two would get along famously.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, after that, the Instagram thing, a lot of exercise people apparently they put hashtag proof of sweat
Right.
as a tag, and so we came up with hashtag proof of cheese. So that's now a thing, and every time he eats cheese, it's hashtag proof of cheese. So that's why, yeah. And so Henning did me a couple of favors while we were out in London and while we were in Mike's place. And so in return, I went on Amazon.de and ordered him a kilo of Gouda cheese to send to his house. And he was very, very happy. So yeah, that's what Poo Ninja is referring to with the Proof of Cheese Club. So
That's
I
brilliant.
now have a picture of Henning with a half-kilo piece of cheese in his face. It's
Aye.
crazy, yeah. But yeah, so I was kind of expecting more questions after being asked about it. Let's just see. See if I can hold this up. Well, oh, there it is. So it's a multi. Yeah. So there we go. Henning eating a large block of cheese, and he actually ate the rest of that on his live stream earlier today. Just sat there eating it. Like,
Brilliant.
How do you put that much cheese into a human? But there you go. Apparently, and so the question arose: well, how do you not have terrible digestion? And he just held up his coffee. Like, lets the body work it out. What a guy. So yeah, like I said, if questions are not forthcoming at this time, the Discord is the perfect place to do the questionings, and the link is in the chat. So yeah, Henning the Cheesehead indeed. If that's it, thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you. There's a British Boutique Guitar Festival video coming out tomorrow. There's another video coming out on Monday, and there's the Rush video is going to come out and produce like a pro very soon. Is the iZotope bundle worth it for you as a super noob? Probably not. That's a good question. If you don't know what plugins do and what they're for and why you need them, then you don't need to buy them. That's my general outlook. If when you say super noob, get recording, get going, have a listen to what you've done and work out what it is you don't like about it and what you want to change about it, then research what to do, because most of the stock plugins that come with your DAW will fix most problems. Then when you get to that point, then if there's something specific that you're like, this is kind of getting me there but not quite, then more research will help, and then sometimes the right plugins will help get there faster with what's in your mind. Just buying new plugins doesn't really help. That's something I've come to learn. But if there is a thing that you want to do and your tools do not allow you to do it, then go searching for the solution. Then it's a good idea to buy the plugins. iZotope makes some very nice plugins that do some very nice things, and I use them quite a lot. But I remember the iZotope, the Ozone was probably one of the first big purchase plugins that we got in the studio, because it was one of the first things that I was really missing, was something that could make a mix loud and clear without causing me problems like distortion. Right. And so yeah, there you go. That was why I then went and bought Ozone. I think it was Ozone 5 at the time. But I had hit a limit. I could hear that the plugins weren't doing what I wanted. I did some research and found that Ozone 5 could do what I wanted. And so that was when I took that logical leap. So yeah, Jimmy says, I bought the iZotope base bundle and I love it. Helps me a lot. Brilliant. But from there, if those plugins do what you need, then you don't need to buy anything else. With iZotope, I find that their basic versions of stuff do really good things, and then it's only when you start reaching the limits of what the basic version can do and there's new features that could do a thing you have in your mind that you can't currently achieve, that's when you do the upgrades. My philosophy has always been, what is your weakest link? And that's something that kind of squirrels away at my brain all the time, is what is the weakest link in what I do? Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's that I need to learn to do a thing, or sometimes I need to improve upon a thing. Sometimes I'm hitting my head on, I have an idea in my mind, I have a thing, I can't quite get there, and sometimes the weak link is that I don't have the thing, whether it be a piece of hardware or software or room treatment, microphone, whatever it might be. But as long as I'm honest with myself that the problem could be me, and sometimes it is me, then whatever the weakest link is the thing that needs improving. And then when the thing is a physical product or a piece of software, and I have done everything that I can and tried my absolute utmost best to get the results, and I'm still not getting that, that's when I justify that. Bing. So there you go.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah, thank you. Jimmy says,
Very
my
good,
main objective is to make harmonies hide in the background of big punk back vocals, make them sound bigger. There's loads of ways to do that. There's track yourself 20 times, pan them all, put that through a short reverb group, and then dip that down, and that really short reverb might do the typical punk thing of sitting you in that space. It might be too bright, it might be that you need to take the treble down, it might be that they're all kind of in the pan place and right in the middle and they need to move. There are so many things you can do without buying more plugins that will get you solutions to a problem. And I like experimenting, so that's the thing. Yes. But yeah, there you go. So Al says, I live in America and I know you're a Sweetwater affiliate. Can I use your affiliate link if I'm in America? Good question, and the answer is yes. Let me find you a thing for that. I believe that if you click on any of our USA links to Sweetwater, then that counts. But if not, that's a horrible looking link that I've just dropped in the chat. That is our Sweetwater affiliate link. If you are in the US, that is the place that we appreciate you buying your products from, because that helps us out. If you're in Europe, then Thomann is our preferred retailer, because that also helps us out. If you buy from anywhere else, cool.
But they don't help us out.
Yeah, they don't help us out, but cool. Quite often I buy stuff not from Thomann if I can get it much more efficiently in the UK, because Europe is a mess right now. But whenever I can, I buy from Thomann. I can't buy physical products from Sweetwater. They will not let me. They do not ship to the UK, so I completely understand a lot of non-US people not using Sweetwater because you can't. So, yeah, it's all about, using what you can. Quite often I find that Thomann have a lot of stuff in stock. So does Sweetwater, so... Yeah. Mage says, any synth sound can be reproduced in VCV Rack in only 10 to 20 days work. That is really funny because it's true. Modular stuff makes me have a sore brain, but you really can do anything with it. So there you go.
Anything?
Pretty much anything. I'm pretty sure there's a cup of tea module. So yeah. With modular stuff, that's the thing. Modular stuff is basically just a voltage that goes from here to here most of the time. And whatever that voltage means and whatever you do with it can really, you can do wacky stuff. Because a lot of, classic synthesizers that are not modular, everything happens behind the scenes. It's designed by the people who make it to sound a certain way and do certain things. With modular stuff, they give you the outputs and they go, good luck. And if you want to take a trigger or a sound or a control voltage and feed it into a cup of tea, you can. What that will do, I do not know. But there are loads of examples of there was one year when I was at university, the Contemporary Music Festival in Huddersfield. There was somebody who had a modular synthesizer and genuinely made music with different types of fruit. They cut the fruit. They had anodes and cathodes that connected to different parts of the modular synth that would control it, and they were making music, or at least some sort of performance art noise, to a room with 200 people in who were all glued to it, interested, using fruit. Modular synths can do wacky, weird stuff if you want it to.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, genuinely, modular stuff is your imagination is the limit. And sometimes you go, no, please, I just want a sound. I want simple. And it'll do that. But if you go, I want this crazy weird, it will. So yeah, there you go. Although it will end up the size of a house by the time you've finished, and you'll never need to turn the radiators on ever. But swings and roundabouts. Chris is in chat there. We were talking about you at the start of the stream. Hey, talking about the plan that you and me came up with yesterday about doing a live stream mix along. So yes, that plan is now in motion. It's been told to the world, so it's happening. But there you go. So that is probably a good place to end the stream. Sorry, Chris, that you've just tuned in, but yeah, time to go. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you same time next week.
Goodbye. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server, link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Hot Pole Studios. See you